Our Value of Advice ebook and podcast series is proudly sponsored by MediHelp.
Hi, this is Tony at Cover, and I'm speaking to Bruce Fleming at Private Wealth. Bruce, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you.
Bruce, we're just chatting a little bit to get some of your wisdom from your journey as a professional planner and to get a little bit of an idea as to where things have gone over the years and what people that are new in the industry can look forward to in terms of changes and lessons that you've learned and that sort of thing. Try and put something on the plate for them. So maybe just a brief sort of your elevator pitch as to who you are and who Private Wealth is.
Okay, so me, Bruce Fleming, I'm not a qualified lawyer. I've got my LLB, but I didn't do my articles. Been in the industry for probably 27, 28 years. Started out as a legal advisor and ended up financial planning. I've been doing financial planning since 2000. So it's probably 24 years. Married with 2 kids, one at university and one in grade 11. Yeah, and that's high level bit about me.
Yes. And maybe just as an interest, interestingly enough, I also studied law. I did my articles, but I never wrote the board exam. I actually left before the time. Didn't work for me. And I also became a legal advisor in the insurance industry.
Yeah.
But maybe just to ask you, how did you make the decision from legal advisor to financial planner?
Very good question. So that would have been 1999. What I realized quite quickly, and I use this quite liberally with my clients, is I saw that the industry was very much commission-generated product selling industry, where not every financial advisor or planner, but I would imagine most of them were it wasn't about the client, it was about their back pocket. And I thought there must be a better way of doing this thing, financial planning. And then I came across Andrew Bradley when it was still IPAC, and he introduced me to lifestyle financial planning way back in 1999. And I was like, why is everybody not doing this? Which is really putting the client first. So this is pre any legislation, pre-current legislation of putting the client first, etc. We were putting the client first, as in when income and no commission on investments. So it was very tough at the beginning. I can't lie to you, taking fees from the get-go. But I still believe that's the best way to do financial planning. And so then I joined Axis with Andrew Bradley, and one of the strategic partners was Betty and Dixon Financial Services, and they didn't have the reach in Cape Town. So they asked me if I would take over the financial planning business in Cape Town for them. Roland van Elfen, I don't know if you remember him, he was flying down literally to see clients, and he couldn't do it. So I took over the business.
Okay, brilliant. And I suppose my next question, you half answered it. What do you see as the biggest change in the industry from your perspective?
I think legislation has brought it. I think legislation has been a very good thing for the industry. As far as I'm concerned, I think it came in maybe too late, but I think putting the client first has become, I think, Tony, has become the buzzword. It was the buzzword. But I think more and more now with legislation coming in, that it is putting the client first. What's in the client's best interest as opposed to what's in the financial advisor's best interest. And happy clients, so you happy wife, happy life, happy clients, I suppose the same thing. And I've been putting clients first since 2000. I don't do anything that's not in the client's best interest. The client the client must understand 100% what you're doing. And I use the analogy of if I wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm investing all your wealth, and I say, what am I doing with your money? The test is how quickly do you go back to sleep? Because if you don't go back to sleep quickly, it means you're worrying about something to do with your money. And and I think also probably a big change in the industry is education of clients. Before, the clients they were kept very uneducated. And I think more and more, clients are becoming a lot more educated, which I think is a great thing.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. I think that balance between access to information and then access to somebody that can help them understand all of that information. We have the tools and the way to actually achieve that now.
Just a quick thing. I want to copyright it, but I've done a bit of analysis on it, and the T word, which is trust. And I believe that there are only three types of trust. One is I walk into a meeting and the guy looks at me and says, "Very, you look like a schoolie. I don't trust you at all." I can just see I've got that feeling, and that trust you'll never get. The second one is someone's referred Tony to me, and they trust me. So you trust Bruce, but that trust is not quite there because you haven't got to the third trust, which is that trust that's earned. There's a bit of a foot in the door with Tony because he's been referred by someone who trusts me, but I haven't earned that trust yet. And I honestly believe that no matter who you are, you've got to earn that trust with the client. And the client, by doing that, you've got to do the right things. Make sure that the client's front, center, middle, everything of whatever you do. And then obviously education, as I've spoken about, educating the client and being able to wake them up at 1 o'clock in the morning to see how quickly they go back to sleep.
Yeah, I know that makes a lot of sense, Bruce. Now, besides, we've got good tools nowadays to assist advisors. We've got good platforms, investment platforms, etc., that you can have access to. You have access to a lot of information as a planner to advise your clients.
Yeah.
And there are very good products out there that are a bit more client-centric than 30 years ago and all of that. But what sort of challenges as an advisor do you think the guys still face, especially the sort of less experienced guys?
I think it's trying to build trust in the client. That might be first of all, you got to find the clients. And I think we're going to get to a little bit later about succession planning and building new talent.
Yeah.
So I'll park that for a second. But I think the challenges, I think, for the younger advisors is just building the trust. It's like we've always had that challenge with clients. And I know we're going to get back to building the new talent. But in our day, it was a lot more difficult to get into this industry, I believe, which is sounding quite controversial because the average age of a financial planner now is over 50. And we are struggling to get new people into the industry. But in our day, we literally were given a telephone book or cold calling, trying to build we weren't really helped that much in building a financial planning business, in that there was no programs for youngsters and that sort of thing. So I think it is a little bit easier getting into the industry now, but I think the challenges are literally, I think it's just building their trust in the client, because everybody's like you and me, we both got our LLBs. It doesn't mean that we're a good lawyer. In fact, it means we're not good lawyers because we couldn't make it in the legal fraternity. But so we all know what we're doing or what we have and what we can do. And technology is there to help you. All the tools are there. But if you can't sit in front of a client and have confidence and have empathy with the client and build that trust, I think you're going to struggle. And I think everything, I was chatting to a colleague the other day, everything at the moment is built to bring new people into the industry. I mean, the legislation's there to protect, there's stuff there to protect them. There are programs for youngsters to go into financial planning practice and start taking over clients. But we, as a business, as an industry, we're batting to attract good quality people, I think.
Yeah. And just from your side, I think, what role does your confidence in yourself play in building trust?
Yeah, you have to have confidence what you do. And I think you got to eat what you sell. And I think you can't, and I say to all my clients, what I'm doing for you, I'm doing for my family. And I think that's the big thing. And it's 100% truthful, is that I've got exactly the same plan, not exactly the same plan because we're different people, but I've gone about it for my family in exactly the same way that I'm doing it for your family. And I think the confidence that it works for me, I think it makes it a lot easier to discuss it with clients, and you believe in it because you do it. I mean, I think there's that one advert, I'm not going to name the company, but all the top asset managers in our company are invested in the same asset with allocation that our clients are. And it's not just something that I say, it literally is. I have a meeting with my wife. We have a review meeting. We do go through exactly the same process that I with myself and my family that I do with the client.
Yeah. No, you eat what you sell. Yeah. Bruce, then maybe coming from there in terms of, I mentioned a little bit that we've got very good products, etc. What is it that you like about products today, or just compared to the products that were around 2 or 3 decades ago?
I think that's a very good question. I think the products, and it goes back to what I said before. In the old days, it was commission generated product selling. So what people used to do in the old days was they would sell clients product where they got the biggest commission. I think the way that it's structured at the moment, and this is something that I truly believe in, Tony, is that whatever product the client goes into is a result of a lot of stuff that's happened before. So I hate that word. I actually don't like the word product because it's a solution to a whole lot of stuff that's done before. So you sit down with the client and you understand what the client wants, what they want to achieve. You go through the 6-step financial planning process. I do that with every single client. The 6-step financial planning process. And once the client goes into the solution or product, whatever, it's the result of retirement planning or cash flow planning or tax planning or estate planning or whatever the case might be. It's the solution to the advice that we've given rather than the product. Whereas in the past, it was very product centric in that financial advisors or brokers or whatever, and I don't like to use the word financial planner for the older products because they were product sellers. They were selling product based on how much they could earn. And I know this will probably, if it goes into your magazine, you'll probably get a lot of shouting and screaming about it. But I truly believe now that and I use the word in inverted commas, product is not a product, it's a solution to the advice that's been given to the client. So whether they go into a retirement annuity or into an endowment or into whatever the case, or a tax-free investment, it's because there's been a lot of work done before, and this is really just the solution. Yeah. And I think also, and another thing I think, sorry to interrupt, is what part of lifestyle financial planning is that we don't have to choose, we don't have to do our own asset allocation. That's not done for us. And that the solution is the client needs a return of inflation plus X, and we need to obviously match what, from a return perspective. That's all we're focusing on. I don't care what any other funds are doing, as long as that fund is meeting the client's expectation. And inadvertently, it's the client's mandate to us to achieve that return of whatever we get. I think a lot more of the solutions these days are around, whether it's a fund of funds or a multi-manager, whatever the case might be. I would rather go for somebody, I'll go to the guy and say the mandate here is that you need to beat inflation up 3% or whatever that amount is.
Yeah.
That's a lot more, that's what's changed a lot, I think, in the industry.
Yes. Yeah. You've got a lot more people that are very specialist, and you can actually tap into that specialization. Correct. As an advisor. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think you've nailed it. You've nailed it. Whether it's because we're not the jack of all trades. So you don't, if you go to a doctor and you need to go for an operation, your GP is not going to do your operation. So they're specialists to do certain things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Bruce, it's very clear that you love what you do and that you're quite passionate about it. But what is it that you like most about your job?
I call myself the financial doctor because a lot of clients come to you. Not all of them are financially ill because a lot of them have worked hard to get to where they are. But they're at that stage now where they need someone to help them get to achieve the financial goals that they want to achieve. So if you're looking at an accumulator, we're able to assist them in achieving the life that they want to live. And if people are retiring, we're able to help them achieve whatever they need to in retirement. And for me, that's what gets me up every day, is helping people. And it's one of those things where you're fortunate to get paid for what you love doing. Sometimes you feel guilty that you're getting paid for something that you actually love doing.
Exactly.
You know, a lot of people that work to live rather than live to work. And I honestly, someone said to me the other day, a client said to me the other day, when are you going to retire? And I said, probably never, because I love I love what I do. I get up in the morning and I'm good for the day because I know I'm going to help people.
Yeah. You don't have to retire to go and do what you love.
Exactly. Yeah. Quite correct.
Yeah. It's very important. Yeah. It's the same for me.
We financial doctors, Tony. That's exactly what, or financial health experts is probably the better word, because a lot of clients are healthy, but we just help them to become more healthy. Or I do. I help them to become healthier, because I'll never say to a client, you haven't done it. I'm here to help you do it better.
Yeah.
achieve what you want to
And,
achieve.
yeah. And it's quite holistic because nowadays you look at mental health in the sense of money as well.
Correct. And I think one of the biggest, I can retire, one of the biggest problems for people when they retire is what do they do with themselves?
Yeah.
So we actually getting into that more and more into the mental side of it and, what to expect in retirement. You need to have a hobby. You need to get up in the morning and have some purpose.
Mm.
Because people, that's the biggest thing I think with people that are retiring is they no longer have purpose.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
they have their purpose.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So my older brother, he semi-retires every few years and then he's on the go again. And
Yeah.
his word always to me, he said, it's very simple. It's a 2-letter word. He said, I have to have something to do.
So I'm actually, and more in my conversations with clients, I'm not using the R word at all.
Mm.
I'm calling it a lifestyle choice because if you stop working and formally work, put it that way, at age 60, you've probably still got a decent another 20, 30 years of life. You're not going to get up at 10 o'clock every morning and go and make yourself a cup of tea and whatever. You're gonna do something, but what you do should be for one, beer money, I call it, rather than you have to work because you need to sustain your lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I always call it. I hate that word retirement because it means you're ending something, you're starting something else, and it's more of a lifestyle choice to stop formally working, but you're still going to be doing other stuff. And I reckon, I promise you, 90% of my clients now are doing something in that word retirement. And because we live longer and we are younger when we retire, even though parents at 65 are old and a 65-year-old is a new 40. And so the people, their minds are still active, their bodies are still active, and most of them want to do something. And they take up hobbies that might earn them a few rands here and there, but they don't need it for,
because you don't want that pressure then.
Correct.
That's the big thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've actually started calling it the lifestyle choice rather than the R word because we've got them so that they're financially okay for the rest of their life, but they must be busy. They must be kept busy.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But Bruce, now that sort of, we talk about lifestyle planning and later in life, and you also, similar to me, getting to that sort of stage where you start doing things a little bit different, etc. But it means that you have to look at succession planning. You have to look at building new talent to follow up. Somebody has to look after your younger clients that will need a continuation. How do you see that happening in the industry today and for yourself?
So what we're doing in our business is we're bringing in what we call interns. So we go to the BCom Financial Planning department and we offer them an internship. An intern that goes back to what I was saying earlier about bringing young talent into the business. You need to bring them in early, but I think where the industry has been wrong in the past is giving people targets and all of that sort of stuff because that drives people away. And so we bring them in an internship program. We help them get through the CFP, through the board, etc. Bring them into client meetings with us, learn from us. In fact, what we actually do, and I'm talking probably a little bit out of turn because I'm actually interviewing an intern at the moment. It's the first time I'm bringing an intern, but just looking at what the other guys do in our office is they literally start an admin. So they understand exactly how the admin works, etc. Then start bringing them into meetings and we pay them a salary. So they're not under any pressure to sell, for want of a better word. Get all the right habits into them right up front. And then they start seeing clients. If they find family members or people that want to come and see them, obviously they're under supervision. We bring them in and then we pre-share with them if it comes in. And then once they finish their intern program, obviously those clients then go back to them. So there's a whole process and that we've done. And we've had a bit of a success in the business with some of the youngsters. And it's been quite eye-opening because none of them are leaving the industry because of that. The targets, don't give a youngster a target. In fact, don't give me a target because that's the wrong behavior.
Yeah. Those targets, I was in the industry at the time in the 90s. And basically what it just means is you might remember those cycles where depending on where the economy is at, people leave one job to go to another because the targets are better and the potential to reach them are better. And then they come back again when the cycle turns, but there's
Yeah.
no commitment to an industry or a
Correct.
profession. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Bruce,
Yeah.
coming to the end of this conversation, which was a fascinating one, I want to just ask you in terms of building a practice, and if you could give a couple of tips to guys who are setting out on their own and they want to build a practice with a bit of longevity and standing and so on, what would those few tips be?
I think, okay, so I think it's very difficult for someone to start a financial planning practice now. That I'm quite certain of. Legislation, compliance, all of that sort of stuff. If you're starting from scratch, I think it's going to be it's more and more difficult now. And just an example is, I remember one of the first solutions, for want of a better word, when I started was an RO for a client. And it was a significant one in 1990. I think it was about 2,500 Rand a month. If I'd taken the commission on that, it would have been in the region of 80 or 90,000 Rand because of the longevity or whatever. And I think I was earning probably $100 a month or something on that retirement. So I think it's very difficult to go on your own and start building a practice from scratch. I think you've got to look at professional financial planning practices. You don't necessarily need to go into a type. There are businesses out there that are doing intern programs, that sort of thing. If I was starting in the industry now, I wouldn't even think of going on my own. I would go into a business that's professional and that sort of thing.
And build
If
from
you
there.
come and build from there, yeah. Because I always use the analogy of lawyers and accountants. You never see somebody finishing their CA and starting up an accounting practice. You never see that. They do their articles, they do that. And when I was a consolidated, we actually had I think the perfect word for that was article planner. That was it's better than an intern as far as I'm concerned, because if you want to professionalize the financial planning industry, you need to start using the right words, like articles. You're there to be trained on varsity trains you on the theory, articles trains you on how to do it in practice, building practices. But I like the word article plan because it explains exactly what you're doing. That you understand that you're going into accounts or legal, you're going to do articles for 2 years. Whether you, obviously, if you're not going straight to the bar, but you're going to do articles. And I think that's what you need to do that. And if you're building a successful practice, you've got to put the client first. The client has got to be center of everything that you do. Because if you don't do that, you will never build a successful practice.
Yeah. First, that was a really great conversation. As with Dilly,
I enjoyed that too.
On chatting for a long time. Yeah.
I know, I could too. I love it. As you can see, I'm passionate about what I do.
Yeah. No, thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay.
You're welcome.